Humanity had always believed that the galaxy was vast and peaceful, a place where no harm could touch them. But that belief shattered when a mysterious signal echoed through the void of space. It was faint, almost like a whisper, but it carried with it a sense of urgency that immediately caught the attention of Earth's top scientists. Something was out there, and it wasn't friendly. The signal was unlike anything anyone had ever seen before. It didn't fit any known patterns, and it seemed to come from deep within the heart of an uncharted sector of the galaxy. At first, most dismissed it as a glitch or a random anomaly. But as the days passed, strange things began to happen. Ships in space started to malfunction, electrical grids flickered, and communication systems experienced unusual disruptions. It became clear that this wasn't just a random event, there was something, or someone, trying to make contact. Governments across the world scrambled to investigate. Military forces were put on high alert, but no one knew what they were preparing for. It was unlike anything humanity had ever faced. No alien invasion, no sudden war. Just the eerie silence of space, broken only by the growing hum of a signal that grew louder each day. Then, without warning, it happened. A massive fleet of alien ships appeared out of nowhere, dropping into Earth's orbit. They were unlike anything humans had ever seen, towering, dark ships, moving with precision. Their weapons were silent, but the power they radiated was terrifying. This was no mere encounter. The aliens weren't here to talk. They were here to conquer. The world watched in horror as the first shots were fired. The skies lit up with explosions, and cities began to fall. It was a coordinated attack, brutal and swift. Earth's defenses, though strong, were no match for the advanced technology the aliens wielded. The global powers tried to fight back, but they were overwhelmed. Military jets were torn from the skies by powerful energy beams, and ground forces were obliterated by devastating attacks. But despite the destruction, something within humanity stirred. They weren't just going to roll over and give up. The people of Earth had always been resilient, and now more than ever, they needed that spirit. Leaders called for unity. Ordinary citizens took up arms, organizing resistance movements in cities and villages, ready to fight back with whatever they had. Humanity, against all odds, would not surrender. As the days passed, Earth's best minds worked tirelessly to find a way to fight back. But the enemy was unlike anything they had ever prepared for. Every plan seemed futile against their power. Yet, as the battle raged on, a glimmer of hope appeared. Earth had something the aliens hadn't anticipated, its will to survive. Even in the darkest of times, humanity's resilience shone through. It wasn't just about fighting back with weapons. It was about fighting back with heart. And as the aliens unleashed their most devastating assault yet, something in humanity's spirit refused to break. The first major battle ended in destruction, but it wasn't the end of the story. Far from it. Humanity would find a way to turn the tide, and the aliens would soon learn the true power of Earth's will to fight. The battle for survival had only just begun. The first wave of alien invaders had struck with terrifying speed. Earth's defenses were overwhelmed, and for a moment, it seemed like the world would be lost. But beneath the chaos, something incredible was happening. Humans, though shaken, were not as helpless as the invaders believed. As the alien ships loomed over Earth's major cities, a quiet storm began to brew. Hidden deep beneath the surface, in bunkers and underground bases, humanity's military elite gathered. They had long anticipated this kind of threat, though no one had expected it to come so suddenly. They had been preparing for years, stocking advanced weaponry and hidden fleets, waiting for the day when Earth would need to fight back. And that day had come. In the dead of night, as alien ships rained down their deadly fire, humanity's first secret weapon emerged. The warships, ancient and thought to be nothing more than forgotten relics, powered up, their engines roaring to life for the first time in centuries. These ships were humanity's hidden strength, and they were designed for moments just like this. They were massive, capable of unmatched firepower, and they moved with precision. The first strike came from the skies. The hidden warships tore through the alien fleet with ease, their weapons cutting through the invaders' defenses like a hot knife through butter. The aliens, unprepared for such a counterattack, scrambled to defend themselves. But humanity's ships were relentless, attacking in waves, focused and unyielding. The humans weren't just fighting back, they were fighting for their very existence. As the warships unleashed their fury, civilians across the world joined the effort, organizing resistance movements, preparing for ground battles, and doing everything they could to contribute. Every man, woman, and child knew that this was their moment to stand tall. The enemy had underestimated them, and now, humanity would show the galaxy the true power of Earth's will to survive. The first battle wasn't won easily. The aliens had the upper hand in numbers and advanced technology, but they lacked one thing: humanity's unyielding resolve. The warships, though old, were built with a level of ingenuity that surprised the invaders. They were equipped with technology the aliens had never seen, and the humans knew how to use it in ways that no one could have predicted. As the battle raged on, Earth's forces continued to press forward, striking the aliens at their weakest points, slowly but surely pushing them back. The momentum began to shift. What had started as a desperate struggle was slowly turning into a fight for control. The aliens' once confident commanders began to question their plan. Could they really defeat humanity, or had they misjudged them entirely? But despite the growing resistance, the aliens were not going to give up so easily. They adapted quickly, sending reinforcements and increasing their attacks. Their superior numbers and technology began to show, and soon the tide of battle shifted once more. It seemed like all the progress humanity had made was being undone. However, even in the face of this setback, humanity wasn't willing to back down. The warships, now fully operational, formed a strategic alliance with the human forces on the ground. The next move would be critical. If the humans didn't strike hard and fast, the aliens could regain control. The fate of Earth depended on the humans' ability to adapt and keep pushing forward. In the midst of the battle, a strange event occurred. A small group of human soldiers, deep behind enemy lines, uncovered a secret, a weakness in the alien fleet. It wasn't much, but it was enough. They quickly relayed this information back to the warships, who used it to their advantage, launching a targeted strike at the aliens' main command ship. The explosion was enormous, sending shockwaves through the alien ranks. The aliens, caught off guard by this unexpected move, began to falter. The humans had taken the first step toward victory, and now they had a chance to push back even further. It wasn't over yet, but for the first time since the invasion began, humanity could see a glimmer of hope. The humans had survived the first strike, but the war was far from over. They had made their mark, and the aliens knew that Earth was not a planet they could easily conquer. The next phase of the war would be even harder, but humanity had one thing the aliens didn't: the unbreakable spirit to fight until the very end. And the galaxy would soon learn that humanity was far more than just prey, it was the hunter. As the battle between humanity and the alien invaders raged on, the true power of Earth's hidden warships began to unfold. What seemed like a fight for survival had now turned into a struggle to reclaim the galaxy's respect. The aliens, once so confident in their superiority, were beginning to realize that Earth was no easy target. The warships that had remained dormant for centuries were no longer just relics of a forgotten past. They were humanity's most advanced weapons, far beyond what the aliens could have imagined. These ships were designed for a time just like this, a time when humanity would have to rise up against impossible odds and fight for their survival. The technology was older, but its strength and resilience were unmatched. For years, these warships had been kept in secret underground bunkers, hidden away from the world. They were the last line of defense, built in a time before the First Galactic War. Now, in their time of need, they powered up, their engines humming to life for the first time in centuries. The ships moved with surprising agility for their size, and their weapon systems were devastating. The first strike from the warships shook the alien fleet to its core. Earth's military commanders watched in awe as the ancient ships cut through the invaders' lines, decimating their vessels with incredible precision. The aliens had thought that they could overwhelm humanity with sheer firepower, but they hadn't expected Earth's ancient ships to rise from the ashes and meet them head-on. Each warship was like a ghost from humanity's past, and its power was both overwhelming and terrifying. The alien fleet, once so sure of itself, now found itself in a desperate battle to hold its ground. Despite their superior technology, the aliens were struggling to fight back against the relentless force of the warships, which had been designed to endure the harshest of conditions and carry out the most brutal of assaults. But as humanity's warships pressed forward, the aliens began to adapt. They were not the kind of force that would give up easily. Their next move was swift and devastating. With their advanced technology, the aliens launched a counterstrike, bombarding Earth's warships with an overwhelming volley of energy beams and missiles. The humans, however, had prepared for this. They knew the aliens would eventually escalate their attacks, and they had made the necessary upgrades to the warships. The ships were equipped with shields designed to withstand direct hits from even the most advanced alien weaponry. As the aliens' attack rained down, humanity's ships absorbed the blows, using their shields to deflect the worst of the damage. But it wasn't just about the warships. The people of Earth were in the fight as well. Resistance movements across the globe rallied together, pooling their resources and knowledge to strike back at the alien invaders. They weren't just fighting with guns and explosives, they were using their wits, their resourcefulness, and their unwavering determination. As the days turned into weeks, Earth's military forces started to find patterns in the aliens' attack strategies. There was a weakness in their fleet, a vulnerability that could be exploited. It wasn't much, but it was enough. The humans' ability to adapt and think on their feet gave them an advantage. The warships, guided by humanity's clever tactics, began to focus on the alien fleet's weak spots. And then, a new weapon came into play. The warships had an experimental weapon, one that had never been tested before. It was a long-range energy cannon, capable of firing a blast so powerful that it could cut through even the most durable of shields. But it had a flaw: the weapon required a long charge time, and if the aliens were to spot it in time, they could destroy the ship before it ever got the chance to fire. It was a gamble, but humanity had no other choice. One of the warships took the risk, charging up the cannon while fending off wave after wave of alien fire. The aliens, unaware of the weapon's potential, continued their assault, confident that they were winning. But as the charge reached its peak, the warship fired. The blast hit its mark, tearing through the alien flagship's defenses and striking the core. The explosion was immense, and the shockwave sent ripples through the entire alien fleet. It was the first major victory for humanity in this war, and it sent a powerful message: Earth would not be conquered. The humans had learned how to fight back, and now, they were ready to take the war to the aliens. The hidden warships, long thought to be nothing more than relics, had proven themselves to be humanity's greatest weapon. The tide was beginning to turn, and the aliens realized they were facing an enemy unlike any they had ever encountered. Humanity had shown that they were not just survivors, they were fighters, and they would stop at nothing to protect their world. But as the victory echoed through Earth's forces, one truth became clear: this was only the beginning. The war was far from over, and the humans knew that the hardest battles were still ahead. The aliens were angry, and they would not take defeat lightly. But for now, humanity stood tall, united, and ready to take on whatever came next. The alien fleet, once so sure of its dominance, was now struggling to hold on to its fragile advantage. The first major victory had given humanity a much-needed surge of confidence. But this wasn't just about a single battle, it was about turning the tide of the entire war. Earth's military leaders knew that this was the moment to capitalize on the aliens' weakened state and strike harder, faster, and with everything they had. Humanity's military forces, bolstered by the power of the ancient warships, began to coordinate a series of precision strikes aimed at the heart of the alien fleet. The warships had proven their worth, but they could only do so much alone. The humans had to rely on every resource available, space-based fighters, ground troops, and the resistance forces that had sprung up in cities and rural areas. It wasn't just the military anymore, it was everyone fighting for the survival of Earth. One by one, human forces infiltrated the alien fleets, using their knowledge of the enemy's tactics against them. Each strike was calculated, surgical, designed to weaken the alien fleet further. The warships, now fully operational, moved in perfect synchronization with Earth's military forces, each ship providing cover for the other, attacking from multiple angles, and cutting down the invaders with deadly precision. But the aliens weren't unprepared. As humanity's forces closed in, the aliens shifted their strategy. They began to deploy their own special forces, advanced shock troops designed to counter human resistance. These troops were highly trained, heavily armed, and relentless. They were sent to Earth's major battle zones, tasked with eliminating key human resistance leaders and neutralizing their ability to organize. In response, humanity adapted once again. The warships, with their powerful sensors, began to detect the alien shock troops long before they reached their targets. Earth's military forces formed swift, mobile defense teams, moving from one city to another, preventing the aliens from gaining a foothold. The counterattacks were fast and ruthless, hitting the aliens where they were weakest and forcing them to retreat. However, as humanity began to gain ground, the aliens revealed their true strength. In the midst of their retreat, they activated a secret weapon, a devastating energy weapon capable of erasing entire cities in a single blast. The weapon had been kept hidden, waiting for a moment of desperation, and now it was ready to be unleashed. Earth's forces scrambled to stop the weapon before it could fire. The race against time was on. The weapon's firing range was vast, and it could hit anywhere on Earth. If it fired, humanity would lose everything. The warships, with their advanced technology, launched a daring mission to intercept and destroy the weapon before it could reach its target. But the mission was perilous. The alien weapon was protected by layers of defense, and every attempt to break through was met with brutal resistance. As the warships pushed forward, a shocking revelation occurred. The weapon wasn't just a conventional attack, it was a countdown to something much worse. If it was activated, it would not only destroy cities, but it would send a shockwave through the fabric of space itself, destabilizing the entire galaxy. This was the aliens' last-ditch effort to make sure that if they couldn't win, neither could humanity. The stakes were now higher than ever. With every second counting down, humanity had no choice but to throw everything they had at the alien weapon. The warships, working in tandem with Earth's ground forces, launched a final assault. Each strike felt like a blow to the heart, and the alien forces fought back with all their might. The final push was the most brutal and intense yet. Humanity's resilience was tested to its limits. But in the end, against all odds, Earth's forces prevailed. With a massive blast, the alien weapon was destroyed, and the shockwave was prevented. Humanity had managed to avert the worst-case scenario, but the battle was far from over. The aliens, though reeling from their defeat, were not willing to back down just yet. The warships had given humanity a fighting chance, but the real test was ahead. The aliens now knew that Earth was not a planet to be taken lightly, and they would regroup and retaliate. Humanity had survived, but the true struggle for survival had just begun. The war was far from over, and Earth's forces had to prepare for an even more deadly and unpredictable enemy. But no matter what came next, one thing was certain: humanity would never back down. The galaxy would learn that Earth, a planet once seen as insignificant, was a force to be reckoned with. And the hunt for victory would continue. The galaxy had watched with a mix of disbelief and awe as humanity fought back against the invaders. The aliens, who had once believed Earth was nothing more than a defenseless speck in the vast universe, now saw something completely different. Humanity wasn't just fighting for survival, they were fighting for their place in the galaxy. And they weren't about to let anyone take that away. After the destruction of the alien weapon, Earth's forces had gained a much-needed reprieve. But it wasn't enough to end the war. The alien forces, though battered, had regrouped. They still had powerful ships and soldiers, and they weren't going to retreat. The next battle would be their greatest, their last chance to crush humanity once and for all. Earth's forces knew this too. There was no more room for mistakes. The warships, now more experienced in battle, had become a symbol of human resilience. They were no longer just ancient relics, they were the vanguard of humanity's future, powerful and relentless. But even they were not invincible. The final battle would take everything humanity had left, and it would come down to strategy, courage, and sheer willpower. In the final stages of the war, Earth's military forces made one last push. The plan was risky but simple, a full-scale assault on the heart of the alien fleet. Earth's warships, now reinforced with new technologies and upgraded weapons, would break through the outer defenses and strike directly at the core. If they could destroy the alien leadership, the rest of the fleet would fall apart. But the alien leadership was well protected, and it wasn't going to be easy. As the warships began their assault, the air crackled with energy. Each ship was a deadly instrument, moving with deadly precision as they tore through the alien defenses. Missiles and energy blasts filled the void of space, creating an explosion of light that could be seen from the farthest reaches of the galaxy. Earth's forces had come to fight for more than just survival, they were fighting for revenge, for their families, for their planet. The alien fleet fought back fiercely. They deployed their final line of defense, a massive shield generator that enveloped their flagship, making it nearly impervious to attack. But humanity wasn't about to back down. The warships, using every bit of advanced technology at their disposal, synchronized their attacks, targeting the weak points of the shield. The battle raged for hours, with neither side willing to give an inch. On the ground, resistance fighters coordinated with the warships, providing intelligence and support. Humanity was united in this final struggle. Governments, once fractured, now stood together as one. It didn't matter if you were a soldier, a civilian, or a scientist, everyone had a part to play. Earth had become one massive war machine, a force of nature that no one could ignore. Then, after what seemed like an eternity of fierce combat, the breakthrough came. The warships had succeeded in breaching the shield. The flagship, now exposed, was vulnerable. With a final, powerful strike, the lead warship fired its most powerful weapon, cutting through the alien flagship's hull. The explosion rocked the entire fleet, and for a moment, there was silence. The alien leadership was dead, and their fleet was in disarray. Earth's forces pressed forward, launching a final wave of attacks that overwhelmed the remaining alien ships. The invaders, once so sure of their victory, were now on the defensive. The galaxy had watched as humanity, against all odds, turned the tide of the war. But even as victory seemed certain, Earth's leaders knew that the fight for survival wasn't over. The alien fleet had been defeated, but their empire was vast. There would be more battles ahead. The war had taught humanity a crucial lesson: survival in the galaxy was never guaranteed, but strength, unity, and resilience could take them farther than anyone ever imagined. As the last alien ships retreated into the depths of space, the people of Earth looked up to the stars with new eyes. They had fought not just for their planet, but for their future. They had proven that humanity was not just a species that could be wiped out easily, it was a species that would rise again, no matter the odds. The final stand had been made, and humanity had won. But the galaxy was vast, and there were still mysteries to uncover, dangers to face, and enemies to outsmart. Humanity had found its place among the stars, but the journey was just beginning. The universe would never forget that when humanity was pushed to the brink, it fought back. Always the hunters. And this was just the beginning of humanity's story in the stars.